My wife and her sisters abandoned me at a gas station 53 miles from home. Figure it out yourself. They laughed and drove away. I never went back. This happened after I worked 60 hours a week for 2 years to pay for her college tuition while covering all our household expenses. The gratitude I received was being left on the road like an abandoned dog. 2 years later, she managed to track me down. 89 missed calls. 89. But by then, it was too late. My life had completely changed. And you won't believe what happened. Before I continue, let me tell you how it all started. It was a Saturday morning, and my wife Rebecca had planned an outing with her sisters, Jennifer and Lisa. "It'll be fun," she said. I had worked all week. I was exhausted, but I agreed to go along. After all, it was rare for her to want to do anything with me. In recent months, our relationship had been somewhat cold, you know. I thought it was just a phase. We hit the road early, the three of them singing in the car. Me driving. The destination was a small town in the countryside, a local food festival. It seemed like a normal family outing. How wrong I was. During the trip, they kept whispering and giggling quietly. Several times I asked, "What are you laughing about?" But they would answer, "Oh, girl stuff. I should have paid more attention to those warning signs." We arrived at the festival around 10 in the morning. Everything normal. We bought some things, took pictures, had lunch together. I even relaxed. I thought it would be a peaceful family day. How naive I was. In the middle of the afternoon, Rebecca said she wanted to leave. "I have a headache," she said. All right, we headed back to the car. I was driving when she asked to stop at a gas station so she could use the restroom. I stopped at a somewhat isolated station on the highway. Rebecca got out, her sisters too. "We're all going together," Jennifer said. I thought it was normal. Women always go to the bathroom together anyway. I stayed in the car, waiting. After about 10 minutes, they came back, but instead of getting in the car, Rebecca came to the driver's window. "Get out for a second," she said, with a strange smile on her face. A smile I had never seen before. I got out of the car without suspecting anything. That's when she looked me in the eyes and said, "We're leaving without you. Figure out how to get home," and started laughing. All three started laughing as if it were the funniest thing in the world. I stood there for a few seconds, trying to process what I'd just heard. "What do you mean you're leaving without me?" I asked, still not believing it. "This is a joke, right?" But they kept laughing. Jennifer grabbed the keys from my hand. "Yes, the keys to my car," and said, "You're really so boring. We decided you deserve a lesson." Rebecca got into the driver's seat and started the car. "Rebecca, stop this! It's not funny," I shouted, running after the car. But she accelerated and left the station. Through the windows, I heard the laughter of all three. They really abandoned me there. I stood in the middle of the station parking lot, watching my car disappear down the road. 53 miles from home, without enough money for a taxi, not knowing anyone in the area, completely lost. I went into the station to ask for help. The guy at the counter looked at me with pity when I explained the situation. "Man, that's rough," he said. "Your wife really left you here?" I just nodded my head, still in shock. I tried calling her about 20 times. Nothing. All calls went straight to voicemail. I called my sisters-in-law too, same thing. They had planned all this in advance. It was a trap from the beginning. That night I slept on a bench at the station. The attendant, whose name was Mike, was very kind to me, offered me a blanket and said I could stay there until I figured out my situation. But I had no idea what to do. On Sunday morning, I woke up to a message from Rebecca. Finally, I thought she had come to her senses. But the message just said, "I hope you learned your lesson. When you get home, we'll talk." Man, that was like getting punched in the stomach. She thought she had taught me a lesson. A lesson about what? About working like a slave to support the household. About always doing everything she asked. What lesson was that? It was at that moment that something changed inside me. An anger I had never felt before took over my chest. It wasn't just anger at the situation. It was anger at myself, for having accepted being treated that way for so long. Mike, the attendant, noticed my state and approached. "Brother, you look like someone who made a decision," he said. And he was right. I had made a decision that would change my life forever. "You know something?" I said to him. "I'm not going home, not today, not tomorrow, maybe never again." Mike looked at me surprised. "Man, are you sure about this? She's your wife. You guys can talk and work it out." But I had already decided. No, Mike. A person who can do this to me doesn't love me, and I can't keep living with someone who sees me as a clown. Those words came from the depths of my soul. I asked Mike if he knew anyone who needed help in the area. "Actually," he said, "my brother-in-law has a car repair shop in town and needs an employee. Do you know anything about cars?" I knew a little. Mike took me to his brother-in-law's shop, Robert. It was a small shop, but business was good. I explained my situation to Robert, and he, without asking many questions, offered me the job on the spot. "You can start tomorrow." Robert also offered me a small room in the back of the shop for me to stay temporarily. It's not luxury, but it has a bed, bathroom, and a small kitchen. You can stay as long as you need to get organized. I accepted immediately. That night, lying in the bed in the little room, I picked up my phone to send a message to Rebecca. I typed and deleted several times. Finally, I sent only, "I'm not coming home." The lesson was learned, but not the one you expected. She responded immediately, "Stop being dramatic. Come home so we can talk. You're overreacting." Overreacting? I had been abandoned on the road like an animal, and I was overreacting. I turned off the phone and didn't respond anymore. The first few months were difficult. I woke up at 5:30 in the morning, worked all day in the shop, learned a lot about mechanics. Robert was a cool guy, treated me like family. At night, I studied mechanics through YouTube videos. Rebecca kept sending messages. At first they were angry. "You're childish. Come home and stop being silly." Then they became more desperate. "Please, let's talk. I miss you." But I didn't respond to any of them. After 6 months, I managed to rent a small apartment downtown. It was simple, but it was mine. For the first time in years, I felt free. Free to make my choices. Free to live my way. At the shop, I met Emily. She was a regular customer, always brought her car in for servicing. An independent woman, lawyer, intelligent. We started talking, first about cars, then about life. A genuine friendship. Emily knew my story. I had told her everything in a conversation. "You did the right thing," she said. "A person who loves you would never do that to you. You deserve better." Those words healed something inside me. But the story doesn't end there. There was much more to come. Rebecca was determined to find me, and when she did 2 years later, the situation exploded in a way you won't believe. Let me tell you. The second part, it was a normal Thursday. I was working at the shop when Mike came running. "Man, there's a woman at the station asking about you. She says she's your wife. She's with a guy I've never seen." My blood ran cold. I was torn whether I should go there or not. 2 years had passed. I was a completely different person. I had my life organized, my friends, my routine. Why had she come looking for me after so long? I decided to face the situation once and for all. I went to the station, and there she was, Rebecca. But she was no longer the same woman who had abandoned me there years ago. She was thinner, with dark circles under her eyes. She appeared very stressed. Next to her was a man I didn't know, tall, well-dressed, but with an unfriendly face. Rebecca saw me and came running in my direction. "I finally found you," she shouted. "You can't imagine what I went through to find you." "What do you want, Rebecca?" I asked, keeping my distance. She tried to hug me, but I backed away. "I want you to come back home with me. Things have changed. I've changed. We can start over." I almost laughed in her face. "Start over," I said. "After abandoning me on the road, after 2 years without any contact, you think you can just show up here and say you've changed?" The man who was with her approached with an intimidating look. "Hey, buddy," said the guy, "Rebecca already explained she wants you back. Don't make things complicated." I looked at him and then at her. "And who's this?" I asked. Rebecca turned red and didn't answer right away. It's Marcus, a friend who's helping me look for you," she stammered. But from their body language, it was obvious they weren't just friends. Her hypocrisy had no limits. She wanted me back, but was with another guy. "Rebecca," I said calmly, "I rebuilt my life here. I have my job, my friends, my house. I'm not coming back. And another thing, you're with this guy, so why do you want me back?" She started crying. "Because I need you," she screamed through tears. "Things didn't work out for me after you left. I lost my job. The house is being foreclosed by the bank. I owe everyone money." Now the truth was appearing. So it wasn't love. It was self-interest. She didn't miss me. She missed the financial security I provided. She missed having someone to work 60 hours a week while she did what she wanted. What a disappointment. "I understand everything now," I said. "You don't want me back. You want my money back. You want someone to pay your bills again. But you know what? That era is over." Marcus got irritated with my response. "Listen here, man," Marcus said, approaching me. "You're coming back with her." "Yes, she's your wife." I started laughing. "Actually, she's not anymore," I replied. "I filed for divorce 2 years ago. She's the one who didn't sign the papers." Rebecca became even more desperate. "I didn't sign because I still have hope for us. I love you. Please come back home." But I already knew that conversation. It was the same emotional manipulation as always. I wasn't going to fall for that again. That's when Marcus lost his patience and came at me. But 2 years working in a car repair shop had made me much stronger, and 2 years of freedom had given me confidence. I grabbed his arm easily. "Don't lay a hand on me," I said, looking into his eyes. Mike, who was watching everything from a distance, approached. "Is there a problem here?" he asked. "No," I replied. "They're already leaving," and I released Marcus's arm. Rebecca looked at me with a mixture of desperation and anger. "You've changed," she said. "You're not the same man I married anymore." And she was right. I was no longer that insecure man who accepted anything out of fear of being alone. "It's true," I replied. "I changed, and I thank you for that. The day you abandoned me here, you did me a favor, showed me who you really were, and gave me the opportunity to discover who I really am." She stared at me for a few seconds, still hoping I would change my mind. But when she realized my decision was final, she grabbed Marcus by the arm and said, "Let's go. He's not worth our time anymore." What irony! They got in the car and drove away. I stood there, watching the car disappear down the road, exactly as had happened 2 years earlier. But this time I wasn't abandoned. I was free, completely free. Mike came up to me and patted me on the shoulder. "So, brother, how are you feeling?" I took a deep breath and smiled. "Relieved," I replied. "I finally closed this chapter of my life. Now I can truly move forward." But wait, the story didn't end there. There was still a third part that was the craziest of all. Because 3 months after that meeting, I discovered something about Rebecca that completely changed my perspective on everything that had happened. It was a Sunday morning when Robert showed up at my house with a strange look on his face. "You need to see something," he said, showing me his phone. It was a news article from our hometown. The headline read, "Woman arrested for fraud and criminal conspiracy." The photo was of Rebecca. My ex-wife had been arrested along with 4 other people, including Marcus and her sisters, Jennifer and Lisa. They had a scheme of scamming married men by pretending to be friends of the wives. The plan was always the same. They would approach couples, gain trust, then convince the wives to pull some kind of scam on the husbands. In my case, the plan was to leave me on the road, so I would return humiliated and accept anything. According to the report, after I disappeared, they tried the same scam on other men, but one of the guys got suspicious and went after the truth. He discovered the scheme and reported it to the police. That's how everything came to light. Reading that report was like a giant puzzle assembling itself in my mind. The whispered conversations in the car, Rebecca's strange smile, the naturalness with which they executed the plan. Everything made sense now. Rebecca wasn't a wife who had played a cruel prank. She was a criminal, and I had been married to a criminal for 2 years without knowing it. All the times she went out with her sisters, all the family outings, how many others did they deceive? Robert was looking at me worried. "Man, are you okay?" he asked. "I am," I replied. "Actually, I'm more than okay." Now I understand why everything happened that way. The universe was protecting me from something much worse. I continued reading the report. Rebecca and the gang had managed to steal more than $200,000 from several victims over 2 years. Working men, family fathers who trusted their wives and were deceived in the most cruel way possible. Part of me felt anger at having been used that way, but another part felt gratitude because if I had gone back home that day, I would probably be involved in this mess now, maybe even arrested as an accomplice without knowing anything. I picked up the phone and called Emily. I needed to tell someone what I had discovered. When she answered, I said, "Em, you won't believe what I just discovered about Rebecca," and I told her everything. Emily was shocked. "My God," she said, "you were lucky to have gotten out of that life when you did. Imagine if you had gone back." That was exactly what I was thinking. Sometimes the worst situations in our lives are the ones that protect us the most. After this discovery, I finally managed to completely close this chapter of my life. I no longer felt anger. I no longer felt hurt, only gratitude for having had the courage to start over when everything seemed lost. Today, 6 years after that day at the gas station, I can say I am a completely fulfilled man. I have my own car repair shop, a business I built from scratch. I have true friends who respect and value me, and there's more. Emily and I have been together for 2 years. She's an incredible woman who treats me as an equal, who respects me, who values my effort. I finally found someone who knows what it means to truly love, without self-interest, without manipulation. Sometimes I pass by that gas station where it all started and greet Mike. He always reminds me if those women hadn't left you here, you would never have discovered the strong man you always were. And he's right. Rebecca is still in prison. From what I heard, she'll be there for another 3 years. Her sisters, too. Marcus managed to make a deal with the justice system and is already out, but had to return all the money he stole from the victims. You know about the 89 missed calls I mentioned at the beginning? They were all made the day before she was arrested. She knew the police were investigating and desperately tried to convince me to come back to serve as an alibi. In the messages she left, she said things like, "I need you to confirm you were home with me on such and such day. Or if anyone asks, you have to say we never separated." She wanted to use me until the end. It's impressive how a person can live a lie for so long. During the 2 years of marriage, I really believed she loved me, that we were a normal couple with normal problems. How wrong I was. Today I understand that those 60 hours of work per week weren't just to support the household, they were to finance her scams. The money I earned honestly was being used to deceive other people. How horrible. But you know what makes me happiest about this whole story? It's knowing that I was always an honest person, even being deceived, even being used. I never lost. My character never became like them. That makes me very proud. The lesson I take from all this is sometimes the most painful situations in our lives are exactly the ones we need to live through to become the person we really are. That day at the gas station was the worst day of my life, But it was also the best, because that's where I discovered I'm stronger than I imagined, that I can start from scratch, that I deserve to be treated with respect, that I can build a happy life with my own hands without depending on anyone. If you're going through a difficult situation in your relationship, if you feel you're being disrespected or used, remember my story. Sometimes the best thing that can happen is for the person to show who they really are. And if someone abandons you on the road of life, literally or figuratively, don't run after them. Use that opportunity to discover the path that's truly yours. Sometimes what seems like the end is just the beginning of something much better. Today, when I look back, I even thank Rebecca, not for what she did, but for what she allowed me to discover about myself. She freed me from a prison I didn't even know I was living in, and for that, in a strange way, I'm grateful. This is my story of the man who was abandoned at a gas station and discovered that sometimes being abandoned is the best thing that can happen in life. Thank you for listening until the end. You're all amazing.